From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, reporters and the hosts of the Underworld Podcast, Danny Gold and Sean Williams. With Gina Grad on news and Bald Bryan on sound effects, and now, the guy who talks dirty at night, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice, but got a mandate. You get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Bald what?
Oh,
Brian's
quiet.
getting an infusion. He's running a little bit late. He'll be rolling in here in about half an hour, so we'll check about his medical status.
Talks dirty at night.
As well. Yeah, that was Jerry Lewis.
Oh.
That
patient
was
load.
the story that I told on stage in Golden, Colorado, which is I met Jerry Lewis. I didn't know I met Jerry Lewis. I forgot I met Jerry Lewis. But Jimmy and Mike were there to confirm.
He seems pretty hard to forget because cantankerous.
Yeah.
We're not talking Jerry Lee Lewis.
No, it's an interesting thing for all those within the sound of my voice, which is Jerry Lewis is one of the most celebrated comedic actors and comedians and performers of really
Three generations.
all American history. And then the telethon with Jerry's Kids and the whole 9 yards. And then at the very end of his career, he gives this super snarky, shitty interview.
One shitty interview to some kid.
And he's kind of like this shit interview guy.
Yeah.
Like he's the bad guy
Yeah.
from the time he gave that interview when he was 89.
That's true.
After a 60-year career.
After how much money to muscular dystrophy?
Yeah, and after probably hitting the first stage when he was 13.
Yeah.
You know, he had, I say 60 years, probably 70-year.
Yeah.
Career, and that's how he goes down. So if you're going to give an interview at the end of your life,
Be nice.
be nice, like they said in Roadhouse. All right, so we'll get
right.
caught up with that. I have some news that's going to upset you, Gina Grad.
Oh, no.
More Heights controversy.
No, come on.
You love that. You love that musical.
Great. Have you watched it yet?
I've not watched it yet.
You'll love it.
I'm planning on it, and it's, it's, I don't know, 95 with the critics and 96 with the people
As it
on
should
Rotten
be.
Tomatoes. Pretty hard to argue with those kind of numbers. Anyway, I was talking about, we're kind of planning on, Bill Maher sort of semi-famously said last weekend that Lin Manuel should not be apologizing.
Right.
I've heard like people defending Lin Manuel, like that's how he felt. Leave him alone. It's like, yeah, but it's not how he felt.
Right. But we know it's not how he felt because, like I said before, when this happened with Hamilton, like, how dare you do this musical where you're, people said you're essentially celebrating slave owners, and which is like pretty narrow perspective. And he said, essentially, you're more than welcome to write your own musical if you'd prefer to do that.
Right, but the woke mob is caught up to Lin Manuel. But I'll play you Bill Maher, and then we'll kind of get into this story.
The committee that makes note of everyone's skin tone discovered this, and then Lin Manuel Miranda had to say, I'm truly sorry. I'm learning from the feedback. I thank you for raising it, and I'm listening. I promise to do better in my future projects. This is what I was talking about with Nikki. Please stop the apologizing. You're the guy who made the founding fathers black and Hispanic. I don't think you have to apologize to Twitter. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, he went on to say, Democrats, you're undoing yourselves here because they're going to fuck up their party because there's a small miniature group of Democrats who just want everyone to apologize for everything all the time, and it's all race-based. And the rest of the majority of the sane Democrats are sort of going, well, just look the other way, or what are you going to do?
But what's the end game? Because what are you going to do when there's nobody left to apologize?
I don't know, but you should put that on a mug. Yes, and again, Lin Manuel, as if he's even close to any part of anyone's problem.
I don't get it.
Has done more for groups, diverse groups, in the last 15 years than, and I can't think of a person. Look, he does a fuck of a lot more than Al Sharpton does.
Right.
So
And it's interesting because in the cast of In the Heights, there are African Americans and there are Latinos. But the argument is there are no Afro-Latinos. When we're confused, that's when it gets scary.
But this is my point. So you're dealing with people that are going into a pizza shop 50 years ago and going, no pepperoni, this is an outrage. And then they go, okay, we'll do pepperoni.
Right.
And then they come back and they go, no sausage and onion. And they go, oh, all right, well, let's get some sausage and onion. And now they're like, no persimmon and guava? This is an outrage. It's like, no. At a certain point, the pizza shop has all 10 offerings.
Yes.
You can't just keep going. You can't just keep it mixing and matching and using different color Legos and creating new nationalities that aren't represented.
Well, absolutely. And that's the other thing. As somebody who's grown up a massive appreciator of musical theater, the scope is so limited as to what you can do if you're, I mean, maybe not today, but up until right now, every casting is for a young, white, pretty ingenue. That's it. And if you're not that, I don't know, go be in Lion King, go be in Hairspray, go be in something from the last, decade or two that might be able to somehow fit you in. But like Lin Manuel Miranda has busted down the door, as Bill Maher said. He made the Founding Fathers every color of the rainbow. He's celebrating this one tiny little, very ethnically diverse group in New York. And if you don't stop, he's going to stop.
Well, not good enough. Well,
he's going to stop.
Not good enough for the Washington Post, by the way, that Dawson has the article, which came out, I think, today.
Opinion. In the Heights is just more of the same whitewashed Hollywood.
Oh, my God.
How is that even, first off, how does that statement leave your fingers and enter your computer?
I don't know. I mean,
it's more whitewashed.
I guess you could say La La Land is a whitewashed Hollywood. How is In the Heights a whitewashed Hollywood?
How can it be whitewashed when there's no white
That's what
people
I'm saying.
in it?
Yes. I don't get it.
All right, but the point is it is abundantly clear now that your roommate is crazy. We used to have this thought of like, oh, well, I'll just do the dishes twice.
Yeah, it's me.
Or I'll you know what? I'll shut the lights off in the bathroom for them after they leave for work or whatever it is. It's abundantly clear now they're insane and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So my point is to stop negotiating with the insane roommate. See, this is where Lin Manuel made his mistake. He apologized. They don't care. They want capitulation.
I think I may have brought up this term before, but I'm not sure. There's something in psychology when you're dealing with a narcissist called gray rocking or gray stoning.
Not heard it.
Which means you don't apologize to them. You don't lash out at them because you're not going to get the result you want. You gray stone.
Yes.
Yeah, great,
yes,
sure.
No comment.
So we're basically, we're doing this to a thing to a group of narcissists that you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to apologize. Lashing out doesn't get you what you want. It's just gray rock. Okay,
yes.
I heard you. Thank you.
Well, the guy who hosted The Bachelor.
Right.
Chris Harrison should have no comment. They just move on. He should have said nothing. They should have said, just gray wall them and just move the fuck on and they go away. Sorry, go ahead.
Can we please find out what the problem is?
This opinion article from the Washington Post is written by Julissa Contreras and Dash Harris Machado.
Mm-hmm.
The recent controversy surrounding In the Heights, the big-budget film based on the musical created by Lin Manuel Miranda, came as no surprise for Black Latin American.
They're not called Blatin, Dawson.
That would be awesome, though.
Latin American and Caribbean people. With its white and light-skinned leading roles, the film became part of a long tradition in the Americas of black erasure.
Did they have white leading roles?
In Washington, in the Heights, no.
But they're
light-skinned.
Well, no, but he said white and light-skinned.
No, they're not white.
With its white and light-skinned leading roles.
I didn't know that.
When moviegoers...
By the way, are you allowed just to make shit up when you write opinion pieces? Like,
But you're entitled to your opinion.
I guess.
I mean, I guess the lead's light-skinned.
If it fits.
But this feels like an uncomfortable conversation. Why should I have to figure out whether the lead is light-skinned enough?
Some opinions are okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When moviegoers and journalists, including The Roots' Felice Leon, started highlighting the lack of black leading cast members in the film, many prominent figures rushed to defend it. We shouldn't burden Lin Manuel with the responsibility of representing every Latino, commentator Ana Navarro said. You can never do right, it seems, actress Rita Moreno said in defense of Miranda.
And then apologized.
This is the man who literally has brought
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Latino-ness and Puerto Rican-ness to America. Both accounts are inaccurate. The problem is believing that Latino-ness presents a worthy alternative to U.S. whiteness when it is simply white hegemony by another name. What Navarro and Moreno seem to be telling us is a version of what black folks everywhere have had to endure for a long time. Just shut up and be grateful. But all that triumphalist talk about representation crumbles when you point out how all the film leads picked to represent a heavily Afro-Dominican community just coincidentally and conveniently happened to pass the, quote, paper brown bag test.
What's that?
If you're lighter than a paper brown bag, I guess.
These assholes are racist, is really what's going on. It's now we're living in upside down Orwellian world where the people that are doing all the commenting on race are the fucking racists in our society. Sorry, continue.
The brown paper bag test, it's where blacks with visible Eurocentric features, specifically skin tone equal to or lighter than the color of the brown paper bag, were allowed privileges unavailable to darker skinned blacks.
All right.
Okay.
Privileges unavailable. Start a fucking business and see what happens. Privileges. I, by the way, could not pass that test, the brown paper bag test, but I did pass the Scooby-Doo lunch pail test recently. So I got that in my corner.
Black, Latin American, and Caribbean people are very familiar with this form of discrimination. At the core of the lip service is a continued adherence to anti-black practices. We live parallel realities, as most racialized people in white societies do. But we should continue challenging the systematic decisions that make predominantly Afro-descendant communities more whitewashed fodder for white-centering Latinxes.
I can never figure out what motivates people. Like, I have to just sit around and talk about something that doesn't really exist and choose a bunch of $10 words and form it into something. And who's the audience? Like, who reads this and goes, oh, yeah, Lin Manuel,
Tisk, tisk.
Yeah, that guy needs to pull it together.
So is there, just real quick, is there no more room for patting someone on the back who took another leap forward as opposed to tisk-tisking them because they didn't run fast enough to the finish line? This is a leap forward in musical theater. This is a leap forward in casting. This is a leap forward in Hollywood. Why are we beating him down?
I don't know. I was looking at this story and I was thinking about one of the biggest and most celebrated movies of the last 5 years is called Crazy Rich Asians. Mm-hmm. And it's an all-Asian cast. It's not that diverse, to my knowledge. No. So I thought about it. They just leaned into it.
Yeah.
They went, it's called Crazy Rich Asians. Yeah. And everyone went, all right, well, that's what it's called. It's filled with Asians. No problemo. I was thinking if he called it Crazy Poor Mexicans, he may have avoided this.
Oh, I thought there'd be backlash, but you might be right.
No, I think he'd lean into it. Like everyone stepped back from Crazy Rich Asians.
Right.
He should have called it Crazy Poor Mexicans. Wow. But anyway, you know, that's just one podcaster's opinion. Dawson?
The true musical rhythm of Washington Heights is not playful salsa rhythms and a quirky Hamilton-esque hip-hop, which, by the way, trivializes U.S. enslavement and white power.
Oh, there we go.
The true rhythm is deep dembo, trap, bachata, merengue, classico mix, genres that honor the black culture at the center of the Dominican experience. As actress and playwright Guadalas del Carmen.
Well, here's the thing, too. Hey, dickheads who wrote this article, go write a musical then and heal the nation.
I was
Would
just
you please?
Say, where's the musical about trap music? I'd love to see it.
Yeah, you're not fucking coal miners from the turn of the century. You're fucking writers sitting in Manhattan. Use that computer you used to shit out this fucking article that's filled with mistruths and just go ahead and shit out a musical. Ugh.
As actress and playwright Guadalise del Carmen, who grew up in Chicago but found a real home in the Heights, puts it, it wasn't until I moved there that I stopped feeling like a walking paradox. Sure, musical theater has its own style, but this film does more than remix sounds. It remixes reality. In the original
That's
Broadway
what
production,
musicals do! That's what a musical is!
I knew you'd be animated.
Do you think everybody's walking around in gingham hoop skirts in Oklahoma, or are we remixing reality?
That's right.
Singing about how the farmer and the cowman should be friends.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Lin highlights the dynamics of anti-blackness as it relates to Nina's father taking issue with her black boyfriend. Why was the decision made to remove that incredibly relevant thread? They said it was in the Broadway production. It was removed for the movie.
This is the other thing, too, these assholes do all the time. They go like, well, there's an article about Tom Hanks, and I didn't talk to you about it, Max Rabb, but there's an article about Tom Hanks, and like somebody is tearing Tom Hanks a new asshole because they're saying it's not enough to not be racist. You have to be anti-racist.
Yeah.
This is the new bar that people,
Right.
no one would want to live in a society where everyone was just not racist.
Right.
Oh, no, that would never work. You have to be anti-racist. So it's like saying it's not good enough to not litter. You have to be anti-littering.
Right.
But if you lived in a fucking society where nobody littered, then wouldn't you have a litter-free society?
Yes, but like you say about progressive, which is funny because in many ways I do feel progressive. This is, if nobody litters, now what's the problem?
Progressive.
So now we need to find a new
movement. It's all in the title. It gets to this. It starts with stuff that exists, but it can't stop. So now we've got to Lin Manuel. That's how it goes. The Tom Hanks one, like they always do this fucking armchair quarterbacking thing where it's like, well, after Saving Private Ryan, you didn't even chronicle the black GIs that returned to the United States and couldn't find work because of the GI Bill. And it's like, he's making a movie about the Normandy invasion. It's not 7 hours. We're not going back stateside.
right. It's not a series.
Yes, it ends where he dies on the bridge.
But I know we keep coming back to this, but it's like, why are we at the point now? I thought the beauty of this country and the beauty of humanity was, what story hasn't been told? That story, I'm going to tell it.
Yes.
Not just I'm going to write an article about how somebody else didn't tell it.
Ugh. Sorry, Dawson.
In many ways, Hollywood has existed to uphold coloniality and capitalist frameworks integral to its success. What we need now is truth. Miranda issued an apology, but he must go deeper. He can either admit that he's not really trying to tell groundbreaking stories and cares only about his own impact and legacy, or he can confront that he actively contributes to the same lack of representation he says he has felt his whole life. Why highlight a black Latinx population if your interpretation needed to erase a large portion of the blackness to tell it?
Just a fucking obsession with skin tone. It's like a nutty obsession with skin color. It's so fucked up. No, I've been yelling about this shit for well over a decade. No one says shit about it. And all it does is get worse and worse and worse, and fucking cops quitting and violence, and everything's a fucking mess because a group will not stop obsessing about color. In 2021, after we had a 2-term black president, it's like they can't. That's the whole point. What no one understands, back to the crazy roommate, is the more it goes away, the more these people have to activate. They're not interested in it going away.
There's a vacuum.
Yes. Sorry, Dawson.
And by the way, the black experience in Washington Heights was obviously not Lin Manuel Miranda's experience.
Yes.
The experience you see on the screen is his experience.
That's right.
Miranda and Moreno, who tried to walk back her initial statements, are still operating within their industry's anti-black standards. It's clear that upholding that standard of harm takes precedence over authentic, humanizing storytelling.
These two sound like the most miserable human beings on the planet. That's the other thing, too. You're making everyone miserable. Everyone is miserable. All fucking kids under 15 are miserable because they think we live in the South circa 1951. Like, you're fucking up kids with all your insane rhetoric, and you never stop. Ugh.
Why do we continue to submit ourselves to this low standard of storytelling and then expect the voices marginalized in the work to show up as grateful consumers? In the Heights.
By the way, we don't have to expose ourselves to this. You can buy a ticket or you can not buy a ticket. You can go to a fucking tractor pull too. Or not.
Yeah.
Depends. You can go to a Nickelback
Nobody's
concert.
forcing
not
you.
Tons of diversity, but
That's
you're
right.
allowed to if
Sure.
you would like. Sorry.
You ever been to a Rush show?
No. I should though, huh?
All dudes.
Yeah.
And they're all white.
All playing the air drums at the same time.
In the Heights picks and chooses mythical universal Latino experiences over letting the truth stand in its entirety. The deprioritization of lived and radicalized experiences in favor of a non-existent monocultural Latini dad has no function beyond fantasy.
That's not true.
All right. It's all.
There's
we
also
get it.
an
It's a shit
amazing
show.
scene with Mark Anthony that actually does show that. But you know what these people are? They're anti-musical because everything they're describing flies in the face of the traditional musical construct. I don't think they've ever seen a musical. You take parts of your imagination or parts of your lived experience and you make it larger than life and you heighten the reality. So if you don't understand what a musical is, then how can we even debate this?
Well, maybe like classical music is racist because it's all done by a bunch of Western, European dead white guys. Bunch of maybe just like classical music is now racist. Maybe musicals are racist. Maybe that's the problem.
That's so sad.
There could be that article.
This is progress.
About. Did you find that Tom Hanks one? It is fucking
I have
killer.
it.
Look, if you took, let's say, musicals from 1970 to now, and you just took a look at them,
Stephen Schwartz, Godspell, that kind of thing.
take a look at that stuff, and then you took a look at sports, and you took a look at industries, airline or whatever the industry is, I would argue no more progress has been made in the diversity department than musicals, or at least the ones that are popular. I got all my daughters and all her friends were all singing Hamilton.
Your daughter knew every word of that show when she was 11 years old, backwards and forwards. And by the way, if we're going to, I know this isn't apples to apples, but you know what is still the only musical I can think of that celebrates or at least acknowledges Jews? Shtetl peasants in Fiddler on the Roof. Dowdy shtetl peasants from the Russian countryside. And, that's the thing. It's like musical, that's from whenever the musical was written, that's still the only musical that represents Jews. Like, Jews, if you want to do something more modern, like, okay, fine, Marvelous Miss Maisel. But there are two examples that I can think of people that said, you know what? We need people to either understand history or repackage it in a new way. And we're fucking phenomenal, which is The Watchmen, the series on HBO, which is the first place I ever learned about the Tulsa Massacre. It was not taught in any public schooling I ever had. And Lovecraft Country, which is the first place I ever heard about a sundown town. And these are really compelling sci-fi shows that I learned something from. Someone didn't complain and say, when's somebody else going to do this?
Well, there is a ray of sunshine that came from this article. Because as I was staring at it, I thought, who were the two crazy bitches who composed this article? And the names are
Julissa Contreras and Dash Harris Machado.
Hence, Jules Dash. We took these two, we hyphenate them.
my God.
We take the first two names, and we now have Jules Dash. We have come to a time. Listen.
Did you just admit to writing that article?
Yes. People scoffed at me 8 years ago when I said if I would change my name to Jules Dash, then I could get uppity into Sundance, because uppity is 98% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever it is. It's, civil rights, race car, plenty good enough for Sundance. But Adam Carolla's name on that is no
Brings down the
bueno.
brand.
Jules Dash. That would have got it. What was the first girl's name? Julia's something? Julissa Dash. Oh, my God.
Wow.
I would be the toast of Sundance.
Be better than Jules Dash. It's
Yeah.
Jules Dash.
All right. So now we've come to full circle, everyone. Jules Dash. All right. So we have a little more apology stuff going on here. We had Charles Barkley.
What do you do?
Not wanting to apologize. I don't know if he apologized or not.
No.
We got, he's smart. We got that clip.
Yeah, so this is this is from because recently Barkley went on a podcast saying that he's not allowed to make fun of San Antonio women anymore. So Gina, what he does is every time he talks about San Antonio, he always mentions how the women are big and overweight, and he jokes about it. And they love it. Like, they make like shirts whenever he comes into town. Like, I'm a San Antonio woman. Like, according to Barkley, this is a well-received thing with San Antonio. But he got in trouble. And this is from 2014. This is the network asking him to apologize in 2014.
Oh.
If you don't like me or the show, turn it off. And they want me to apologize. That's not going to happen.
What that's not apologize for?
Me joking about those big old women down in San Antonio. And so listen, y'all can write letters to your mama, your daddy, your uncle. I'm gonna have fun on television. You know that I'm joking around, but if y'all waiting on me to apologize, hell gonna freeze.
Wait, what are you apologizing for?
Those big old women down there.
Going on for 6 years.
And let me tell you, come on.
I think we're out of time.
Come on.
What do they eat?
And that's why we love Charles Barkley. Yes.
That's very good.
All right. Michael, that article, is that Tom Hanks one?
Yeah, so this is from Boise State Public Radio.
When? How long ago?
This is June 13th.
Oh, okay.
Just came out.
Just happened.
Yeah, it's by Eric Dagans, who is an NPR guy. It's an opinion. Tom Hanks is a non-racist. It's time for him to be anti-racist. And he starts off the article saying, "I love Tom Hanks. He's an all-around stand-up guy. Love his movies. Thought he was a great example of what happened when he got COVID-19 and how he reacted to it." But he says, "So when I saw he recently had written a guest essay for the New York Times calling for more widespread teaching about the Tulsa Race Massacre, when white mobs in Oklahoma burned a prosperous black neighborhood to the ground in 1921, I was sincerely heartened. Now I thought, we'll see him examine how his work, so often focused on the achievements of virtuous white male Americans, may have made it tougher for tales about atrocities such as Tulsa to find similar space. But he didn't fully go there."
May have made it tougher. Making a movie about World War II. Destroyer commander didn't leave ample room for stories of race. Okay.
Yeah, and he says, "Look, I'm not asking for Tom Hanks to make a movie about the Tulsa Race Massacre or anything like that, but over the summer, in the wake of George Floyd's murder by a white police officer, I spent a lot of time investigating the difference between being non-racist and being anti-racist. Anti-racism implies action, looking around your universe and taking specific steps to dismantle systemic racism. So I'm saying it is time for folks like Hanks to be
How would one go
anti-racist."
about dismantling systemic racism?
That's
Like
very
all these articles, like
non-specific.
at the DMV or the post office? These fucking lying race hustlers never, they never give you a specific example.
Right.
It's just systemic racism. Okay, good. Give us some names. School boards?
Yeah,
what are we
what to
talking about
do?
here? Like what is it, or is it just in the air? It's just in the air. It's radon gas. It's just there.
Yeah, it's all woke word set.
Ugh. Please shut the fuck up.
So
all
he
you
does
people.
have what Hanks and Hollywood should do next.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because he also called out Ron Howard and Steven Spielberg in the article. He says, if he really wants to make a difference, Hank and other stars need to talk specifically about how their work has contributed to these problems and how they will change. They need to make specific commitments to changing the conversation in story subjects, casting, and execution. That is the truly hard work of building change. Rather than talk about what historically based fiction entertainment must do, why not talk about what Tom Hanks, longtime scripted...
Well, hold on. What's this douchebag's name?
Eric Dagans.
All right, Eric, nobody writes fiction better than you. This is all fiction. Everything comes out of your mouth is fucking race-based fiction. So you're a great fiction writer. I can tell by your article. So just go ahead and
Keep going.
pen something for your people.
Yeah.
And then we could have, the black movie theaters and the white movie theaters
Wait a
and the
second.
Asian movie theaters, not just the upper deck, the entire theater. That'd be awesome. Be a utopia. We could just have our own theaters with our own movies and our own people. It'd be awesome.
I think that's overshooting the goal.
I don't know. It seems like the
I don't
next.
like it.
It's the logical progression. We have black dorms and black graduations. Why not just black theaters and black movies and Chicano theaters, Latinx, African X, Latinx, Chicano X. Sorry, you got any more?
It says, people often say columns such as the one by Hanks are published to start a conversation. Well, here's my suggestion. Let's make part of that conversation how baby boomer filmmakers have made fortunes amplifying ideas of white American exceptionalism and heroism, and how the responsibility now lies with helping dismantle and broaden the ideas that helped cement in the American mind.
All right.
Yeah.
Keep writing, everyone. See how that goes. Fucking nuts. Plus, get to the problem. Families. Families are the problem. Need to repair the families. That will repair all the problems that then emanate from the broken families. Or you can see if you can get Tom Hanks to make a move from his Bel Air mansion. See how that works for your people, you fucking idiot.
And that's the thing. If we're talking about symbolism, these are all symbols. Did Moonlight win or not win over La La Land at the Oscars? Moonlight, this teeny tiny little film with people at the time we had never heard of, starring an all-black cast about an all-black community, they won over the big Busby Berkeley musical.
Not
We
enough,
did that.
Gina.
Okay.
Now you sound like Tom Hanks.
And that's a bad thing,
You're not
right?
trying to dismantle. All right, Bald Bryan has joined us. Let me do a spot, and then we'll take a break. All Birds, the tree runner, made from sustainable natural materials that feel light on your feet, and it's better for the planet. Oh, yes, Gina, I'm wearing mine.
Oh, those are very nice.
Right now.
Very fashionable.
Wore 'em
Cute.
up on stage when we were in Golden, Colorado. Check the archive. Breathable, machine washable with the simple, versatile design. A perfect shoe for any outfit. Yeah, they're good looking and they're nice and soft. So if you have that pointy heel like I have, it doesn't rub the skin off. It's made from responsibly sourced eucalyptus tree fibers, and sugarcane-based sweet foam midsoles are made with the first carbon-negative resin. Even the packaging is made from 90% recycled cardboard. The Tree Runner is carbon neutral. It's a beautiful, beautiful shoe. Like I said, I've been wearing them for about the last month, just about every day. Allbirds.com. Go there today. That's ALLBIRDS.com. All right, take a quick break. We'll continue with some more apologies and get caught up with Bald Bryan and his infusion right after this.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Tampa, Florida. A 29-year-old woman was arrested after she broke into her ex-girlfriend's home at 3 a.m. and assaulted the sleeping victim with a lava lamp. Definitely not a Jew.
All right. Brian has rejoined us. How'd the infusion go, Brian?
I guess the scam is over.
Got to come to work eventually. Infusion was good, so the reason I'm late...
Is that Avastin?
Yes, the reason I'm late is because the first couple times, this is time number 2 of this new round, they have to do a slower infusion in case of any allergic reactions, like literally a slower process.
Yeah.
So time number 3, next time it'll be a little faster. God willing, I'll be done.
Why slower on the second? Why not the first?
First and second. Did I not say that? Sorry about that.
No, just
First couple, you said.
First couple.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But they know you're not allergic because you've already had it.
And then after you do the first one, you don't have a reaction to it.
There was a 3-year break, so they have to start the whole process over again. I convinced my doctor not to give me dexamethasone this time because they gave me 10 milligrams to prevent against allergic reaction. Kept me up for 2 nights. 2 nights I couldn't sleep. It was miserable.
Really?
Yeah, it's a super strong steroid.
Oh.
You could lift a car.
It was no, I had no strength, but no sleep either.
Yes.
Well, let me tell you the news. There's no big. I got MRI results today.
Oh, you
I
did?
got the MRI results from Monday. I got the Vastin, and I meet with the doctor. The blood work, the whole shebang, the whole wheel, and there's no big news, but the little news there is good news. The enhancement that was on the last MRI is all but gone.
Oh.
Those are the little flares, the little dots, the whatever. Doctor is still hoping and wanting the actual physical tumor. Remember I told you there's 2 things to look for. Enhancement, which is the flares and the dots and the new growth, new activity. And then there's the actual physical tumor, which can get bigger or smaller or stay the same, obviously. And he's still hoping for that to, reduce and get smaller, but he's hoping the Avastin will take care of that. But the little news we have is good.
Good.
Right.
All right.
Positive.
But you're still late. And you just
Well,
have
he'll
to,
be docked.
You gotta take the sugar with the salt, man.
You just stay an extra half hour after the show.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Talk to yourself.
Just sweep up a little bit.
All right. Dawson got into an accident. John McAfee
Yeah.
was found dead in a Barcelona prison. Now, this is an interesting story.
Apparent suicide.
Apparent
Question
suicide.
mark.
We'll fill you in. He was on the show about a year ago. He was the guy who was exiled guy, software guy.
The scion of the McAfee fortune.
Right.
Yeah, there's we'll find it, but a couple interesting things. He wrote a note that said, I would never kill myself. So if I'm dead somewhere, somebody did it.
Yeah.
I think he might have said that during your interview.
Oh, shit.
Well, maybe. Max Pat is making a face.
You might
'cause
get subpoenaed then.
I told him,
Send the tape.
find what you got. But
that might be Exhibit A.
we'll see. We'll see if we can find that. He had a very short list, I think, of people he would let interview him, and I may have made it onto that
You did,
list.
yeah.
So what's the story?
So yeah, it's breaking as we're recording this, but just found dead, Barcelona prison, apparent suicide, and it's people are actually calling about it too. Why don't we talk to line 1, Robert from Castro Valley?
All right, but get us caught up on John McAfee, please.
Okay, so he's a computer entrepreneur, McAfee, antivirus and all that. But then he went on the lam, and like for instance, when we interview people, I always ask where you guys zooming in from, because Adam always likes to know. And his wife is the one who manages him, so I was in contact with his wife, and she was very strict with the rules. Like, you only get 45 minutes. Please give me all the details. And then I asked, okay, great. Where's he zooming from? And she said from his iPad that I got him for Father's Day. Like, so that was kind of, and she was very short with me, but that's just how. But then after the interview, she sent a very nice thank you letter saying that Adam did a great job interviewing, because Adam let him actually talk, because he's really big. He was really big on like censorship and tech censorship, which was a big thing and it's on YouTube if anybody wants to watch it. Adam Carolla and John McAfee on YouTube. But they talked about tech censorship, and Adam was one of the few guys that actually let John talk, and he really appreciated it.
Well, it's lucky he wasn't an expert in vintage race cars or carpentry, because then I would have done more talking. But since I know jack squat about computers, I'm always willing to zip it.
By all means, let the expert talk.
Yeah.
He was wanted. He's been in prison at the Dominican Republic. He's wanted by the U.S. government. So he's been on the lam for like 11 years.
But he seemed to. He was talking about having firearms and protecting himself,
didn't pay
and
taxes,
and
like,
all that crazy stuff. So now I don't know, man. It's interesting that suicide and from prison sounds, well, who the hell knows? Do we have, sorry, we said we had a call. If you can find any clips from that interview,
yeah,
that would be
I'm
awesome.
scrubbing through it.
All right. Do you say line 1?
Robert.
Yeah, line 1, Robert.
You should put them up on the screen.
I know. It happened literally as I was speaking to you.
Robert?
Mijo?
Mijo?
Hey, Adam. I'd see that Chris mentioned it, but my quick question is how some people get a 21-gun salute. Are you going to give John McAfee a number 2 salute since he was into some kind of scat at some point. I know it's been mentioned on your mom's house numerous times.
Save it for the eulogy.
Yeah.
How do we know he was into scat stuff?
There was a documentary that somebody had done where they'd interview the women. I think it was in some South American country where they were getting paid to do that on top of like a hammock, and he was like underneath it.
Oh no, you got to use a glass table with saran wrap.
Yeah.
You
The Danny
cannot
Thomas.
do a hammock. I've
hammock
been
works like a sieve.
burned
Yeah.
by that. Now you can go with a very tight weave, or what we call a Euro weave hammock. That's good.
Cheesecloth.
That's good for number 2.
This just in, I just put in the words McAfee scat.
Mm-hmm.
And what comes up is, and I can't tell what, Barstool. It says, lesson learned, do not ask John McAfee about his alleged affinity for eating women's poop.
Well, if I'd done my due diligence,
Yeah.
I may have had that on my bio, but I was blissfully unaware.
Good.
You missed that Barstool headline?
Yes.
And this says property, McAfee's mouth from a hammock with a hole cut in it. So, Robert, you're onto something.
And I wonder if this also kind of reminds me of when Carradine died, and you said you need to put him into a gi. So I'm questioning, do we put him in a diaper, or what do we do to...
Wow.
It's a stirring trivia. Man's corpse is still warm.
Seriously, still warm.
Yeah. Hey, Robert, I appreciate that. No, Robert Carradine.
David Carradine?
David Carradine, I know is Kung Fu, and we also know him from Kill Bill,
He's
right?
Bill.
Yes.
He's the titular Bill.
And they found him in like Thailand, Vietnamese or something. They
Somewhat
found
weird.
They found him one of those places
Exotic.
where they don't have forks.
Okay.
And they found him
Oz.
hanging in the closet of like the hotel room, like autoerotic asphyxiation. And I said, if the maid had a shred of dignity, she would have put him in a red, white, and blue gi, laid him out on the bed, on top of the bedspread, put nunchucks in
That's
his
right.
hands,
And
and just say,
yes.
that's how we found
Had
him.
a
Right.
Bible next to him.
That's right.
Great American.
And anyone who's close to me, the Porcelain Punisher, ironically, is well aware of my demands. If you ever find me with my pants down and a belt around my neck, you get me into that gi. No,
you get a gi
You
too.
get me into Paul Newman's fire suit,
Yeah.
and you lay me down on the hood of that car.
Yeah, that's how we found
That's
him.
how we found him.
Totally loves.
That's right. All right. So, well, that was a nice tribute. Thank you, Robert. I did not know about the scat angle. We'll see if we can find a clip or something of that at some point. There's more apologies to go around.
Oh, cool.
The Michael B. Jordan has to apologize.
Javert.
Yes. He thought he was going to come out with a rum brand, I guess, and Cardi B's angry or
Nicki
somebody.
Minaj.
Nicki Minaj. Why is Nicki Minaj angry?
She says it's cultural appropriation because she actually is from the Caribbean or has some roots in the Caribbean. And Juve is a big
Juve.
celebration that they do in like Trinidad that's basically celebrating the slaves being free and the emancipation. And the history goes back to the reason they celebrate is because the slaves started mocking their masters at parties, and that's how this party got so big. So once they were free, they started mocking their old masters.
Black
doing the
tail
party.
hook. I like it.
And because Michael
that-
B. Jordan isn't Caribbean, he shouldn't be using that.
But can he celebrate that as a black man?
He can't cash in on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't sell.
exactly. Can't cash in on it. It's cultural appropriation.
Okay.
So
what
Nicki
did he
Minaj
have
made
to,
this
what did he
huge
do?
post. So
All right,
he
let's hear what Nicki Minaj has
I
to
gotta
say.
pull this up.
Well, that we were talking about this with Lin Manuel Miranda. Sorry, I always want to say Noriega. The point is they're now going after their own. You know, essentially, it can't be a Latin guy or a black guy, and everyone's in the crosshairs these days.
Well, Chris is looking that up. This came up on my Facebook timeline from 4 years ago today, and I wrote. So this, I guess, Moana was 4 years ago, right, Brian? It had to be 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, it was long before Tessa was born.
Okay, so we were talking about this, and this came up in my timeline with me saying, I keep thinking about the Polynesian man who called into ACS to voice how bummed he was that Maui Halloween costumes were being taken off the shelf. Maui's, the big character from Moana. I remember he said how excited he was that his culture was finally being represented and revered, and that it was a real disappointment that this cool opportunity was being taken away from their kids to wear Moana costumes because all the Karens got together and said that they shouldn't be sold.
We don't want to live in a world where only certain people can celebrate certain cultures. You know what I mean? Like you make a killer taco and you're redheaded, you should be able to make a killer taco without getting into trouble on Twitter.
Yeah, fusion food's the thing.
It's good that people enjoy or celebrate other people's cultures. It's kind of a tip of the cap. I would argue it's kind of the opposite of racism, but that's just me. All right, so Michael B needs to kind of stay in his lane and come up with a rum that's from wherever his ancestors are. He's from the Detroit area, so it's a Detroit-based rum or
8 Mile rum,
made with pure Detroit mountain spring water.
Cane sugar.
Right.
Nicki Minaj says, I'm sure MBJ didn't intentionally do anything he thought Caribbean people would find offensive, but now that you are aware, change the name and continue to flourish and prosper. And so Michael B. Jordan then goes on his Instagram and says, I just want to say on behalf of myself and my partners, our intention was never to offend or hurt a culture we love and respect, and hoped to celebrate and shine a positive light on. Last few days has been a lot of listening, a lot of learning, and engaging in countless community conversations.
These are all like Maoist struggle sessions everyone has to go through. Like, I've learned and I've been taught and I'm getting better. Yes, masters, we're all getting better. We don't want to go into the fucking cornfield because nut jobs are correcting everyone at every turn.
Yeah, he ends it with, we hear you, I hear you, and want to be clear that we are in the process of renaming.
Superfly!
We sincerely apologize and look forward to introducing a brand we can all be proud of.
Well, and this happened to Kim Kardashian, was it 2 years ago? She had a body, bodysuits, whatever, called kabuki, and she had to have those changed. I think they changed to Skim or Skin, but that brand doesn't exist anymore either.
They tried to do it with, Caitlyn Jenner, not Caitlyn Jenner, the other Jenner model. Shit.
Kendall.
Cortland Kendall. Yeah. Well, she had the Pepsi thing, but with the 818 tequila, like 10 minutes ago, they tried to get her too because she took pictures in agave, thing. She was wearing like a thing, and they were like, "You're wearing a hat that looks like it's kind of Mexican. What are you doing?" Like it was like, I don't know. I got a tequila.
Yeah.
Look, I never really thought about it.
Booze gets so sanctimonious.
I don't know. Have a fucking drink and shut the fuck up, everybody. Jesus Christ. I never really thought about it, but now Max and Patty have to look.
Yeah, she's been called out for cultural appropriation over the new tequila ad.
Of course.
All right, but the great Paul Newman, if you picture all of his labels, he had a picture of himself like a gondolier and a picture of him with a sombrero like that.
Pre-Trader Jose.
That's right.
A lot of the Paul Newman stuff, like the salsa, probably got like a big sombrero or something. Like that's what he did. He went, I'm a blue-eyed guy. I make products. I give all the money to charity. And then the salsa or the Italian meatball sauce, the marinara, I will appropriate that culture. And everyone went, that's funny.
Yeah, look at him.
Look at him. He's an actor.
Yeah.
There he is,
acting
like stuff.
These days, would I have gotten in trouble for majoring in Japanese theater in Kyogen and No?
Can we cut that?
I'm curious.
Wow, Gina.
Wow.
I say a lot of shit on the air, but I would have never said that.
You should apologize.
Well, hold on. Are you Japanese?
No.
Well, then we have now.
Oh, boy.
That's an issue.
Because I felt really close to that culture. I really loved having that be my main focus of study.
You just don't know when to quit, do you?
Oh, boy.
My mom is a Chicano studies major, and she's whiter than Tom Petty. All right,
Isn't that the ultimate tip of the cap to there's other countries to learn about and celebrate?
First off, we're living in an upside-down world because the stuff that used to be a beacon of non-racism. First things first. my mom's not interested in a job, so she took Chicano studies because there is no CEO in a corner office with a cigar would give me a Chicano studies major. Stop.
Go down to the university.
Has anyone in this whole factory studied Chicanos? My God!
My kingdom.
How am I going to run this Fortune 500 company without someone who knows the intricate workings of Chicanos?
I'm feeling the jab.
My mom got the job. She became the Chicano studies major so she would be left alone. If you study accounting or saddle repair, when you graduate, someone goes, where's your, you got to get a job down at the stables, right? Right. So she made sure there was no one could ever say to her, what are you doing for work? Like, again,
studying.
Pick something, toaster repair,
right?
Pick something specific. And then you would, if you studied in painting dry dock boats, you must then get a job doing that. So she did that, but she was also virtue signaling because she's a hippie and she's lazy, but she's like, I want people to think I'm on the vanguard of I could never be mistaken for a racist. I'm a Chicano studies major.
Right.
So what was in the 80s considered a virtue of, hey, look at me, look how unracist I am. Now it's problematic.
Oh, boy.
Now we got a problem. We have, the Kendall Jenner. We have.
We can watch some of it if you want.
All right, we can watch her. She's just like, I don't know, she's walking around a
Just
agave
a 15-second spot,
She's riding a horse.
So they're upset. One,
she has a hat.
She's using Mexican people as props.
Where are they? Oh, there's a
They're
gentleman.
the people that make the tequila.
2, she's wearing a sombrero.
Yeah.
3,
they're not props.
It's the way she's playing dress up as a less fortunate person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
wait a second. That's rude. Do these people know that there are people from Mexico that are quite well off and flourishing, or do we just associate anyone from a particular country has to be
Gina,
impoverished?
it's called poor Mexicans.
Okay.
You understand?
That's the full title.
Do you know how
That's the
pissed
full
I am
title.
that I'm defending Kendall Jenner?
I know. It's sad. We have to strange bedfellows during these times. You know what I mean?
Well, I heard an interview with Salma Hayek, a great interview. I think it was on Mark Maron. And she was talking about how she came from a very well-to-do family in Mexico and had all the, just talking about her childhood. And I think her mom or dad, one of them's like Lebanese and like she flourished in Mexico. Is that allowed?
No.
Okay.
Poor Mexicans.
So seeing the agave field reminds me, you talk about majors where you have to go into that field, like you specialize in this thing. The ultimate example, maybe not the ultimate, but a great example of that is viticulture at UC Davis. They teach winemaking. Like it's a winemaking major. You know what I mean? You go, where else are you going to go?
Yeah, you got to go into it. And it's right there in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
We have a 1-minute clip of me and John McAfee from a year ago.
Yeah, so this is you guys saying bye to each other. Here we go.
Last question. Should Weinstein have fled?
Yes, I think everybody should have fled that did not. I'm so sorry, but people go, you're a coward, McAfee. Why don't you stand up for what? I'm going to face charges for refusing to pay taxes, which I have made public for 11 freaking years, knowing I will never see the light of day, simply because the American government wants me to shut up. So no, people, if you believe that you are being unjustly prosecuted, then escaping, leaving, whatever you want to call it, is your right. I'm sorry, it's simply your right. And I'm sorry, I must go now.
Yes,
My apologies.
I hope we can talk again soon. This has been enlightening.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, Adam, I do have a list of people who I'm willing to talk to again, maybe 1 out of 25 people. I would be happy to talk to you again, and I'm sorry that I had to cut this short.
Thank you, and I'm flattered that you put me on that short list. Well, now I add St. Peter to that list.
You think he's going to heaven?
I have I'm blissfully unaware of the inner workings of Silicon Valley and the internet and what the fuck everyone's up to.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
I don't know the specific of John's case or whatever, but it's funny. It reminds me of what you used to say, which is whenever people say the government wants to shut me up, the government doesn't want me to tell the truth. The government just wants you to pay taxes. They just want you to be on the ledger.
That's the one thing he doesn't want to do.
I know, that's one thing he doesn't want to do, but they just want you producing revenue.
They want your money. It's slowly getting into a slightly more Orwellian government version that I never really anticipated. But yes, by and large, in the past, they just wanted your fucking money. Now they're getting a little over their skis, I think, the government these days. And there's probably, there may be more to it than just wanting your money. They may want you to shut up about certain things now. I mean, look no further than COVID. The doctors that had opinions about therapeutics and stuff, they were getting shouted down and shut up. So we're now bleeding into the opinion world.
Right.
But yes, by and large, they're just a big bank. They want everyone to pay. And that's generally how the government works.
Well, and you think about YouTube, they weren't getting shouted down, they were getting pulled.
Mm-hmm. About stuff they were mostly right about at the time, just before it was popular opinion.
Well, they'll have a new chance with the Delta variant.
That's right. We'll look forward to that. All right. There's a speaking of money in the government, I was looking. Gavin Newsom is put out a commercial, like a 30-second spot.
Cool.
I took note of.
He didn't email me about it.
I was watching this Gavin Newsom commercial. I think it came on after TMZ, if I recall. But this is Gavin, and tell me what angle you think Gavin's using here to try to get some votes after this recall situation.
Governor Gavin Newsom has California roaring back. What does that mean for you? Newsom is delivering money to your pocket, plus an extra $500 for families with kids. $4 billion straight to small businesses through the nation's largest grant program. Cleaning up our streets and getting 65,000 homeless Californians into housing. And free pre-K for every California child, regardless of income. Governor Newsom is just getting started, and so is our California
He had to hit
comeback.
the homeless thing, but most of it is, I'm going to give you money.
Yeah.
This shit's free. I'll give you free. By the way, free pre-K, regardless of income. Well, no shit.
Right.
Rich people don't need it. I'm not sure what his angle is. Like, it's for
It sounds good.
low income people. That's
Seems
what
like the
it's doing
same
for-
number of homeless people on my drive here. I have yet to see one
But
come off the street.
There was one 2-second clip of Newsom picking up trash.
I've never
Cleaning up the
never
streets.
spotted that. I've never seen any homeless situations, but he's going to give you $1,100.
It's a bribe.
Yeah, that's it. I'll give you cash.
And I don't know if you saw the clip of him in San Francisco, like in the city proper, of him being whisked away by his team after he's assaulted and accosted by a homeless person.
Oh, no.
That was on Instagram. Somebody tagged me in it, but just really whisking him into the building quickly.
Does the guy have a machete?
No, I think
last clip?
it was fisticuffs.
And there's also one more apology to go around here, which Zach Weiner or Weiner?
Zach Weiner or Weiner. He's running for New York City Council. He's a young guy. You might not like him, Adam, just for the fact that his dad is a co-creator of Dora the Explorer.
Oh, no.
That's what he's apologizing for, right?
No, well, actually, so 18 months ago, he went to a dominatrix dungeon, and he was like a submissive, and the video leaked.
Mm-hmm.
The video leaked. So here, Kaylin has a little
What
bit of the
video?
Oh,
so they
goody.
took video
This is
of
real?
it, and this went and this was anonymously leaked on Twitter, saying that I have the copy. I think he thinks it's his ex-girlfriend because that's who the woman is.
Wait, are we gonna watch this?
Yes.
I feel bad.
He's got a ball gag and he's in his underpants. She's
Dripping wax on his nipples.
Dripping wax on his
Clothespins on
nipples.
his nipples.
Oh, nice.
And he's all handcuffed and strapped in.
I think he likes it.
Oh, so good. You're trying to be tough now.
Yeah. It's super creepy, weird.
Look at Mr.
Oh, you don't pull those
Rip the
close.
clothespin off his
You got to
nipples.
squeeze them before you take them off. You can't just pop them off.
Adam, I think she's trying to inflict pain.
I don't think you understand what a sub-dom relationship is.
I'm pretty familiar with that world. And all right, so she's beating his ass.
His poor
But I
guy.
think he
The reason
handled it right.
Right. So the reason I found this video is because I actually saw the statement he made about the video, which had me go look for this video. But it just says, statement on the video. Whoops. I didn't want anyone to see that, but here we are. I'm not ashamed of the private video circulating of me on Twitter. This is a recreational activity that I did with my friend at the time for fun.
Good for him.
Like many young people, I have grown into a world where some of our most private moments have been documented online. While a few loud voices on Twitter might chastise me for the video, most people see the video for what it is. A distraction. I trust that voters will choose a city council representative based on their policies and their ability to best serve the community. Please go to my website and read about my actions to improve our neighborhood.
All right. Look,
he's got my vote.
What you do in your own personal dungeon is your GD business.
Yeah.
I don't care as long as you can do the job. But you have to figure out, like, is this guy going to be tough on crime? There's a couple arguments, in both directions. You know what I mean? There's a high threshold for pain.
Right.
True.
So maybe not
He
a lot of
believes in
remorse
punishment.
for street thugs. And he
some
does,
shit.
yes, he does believe in punishment. On the other hand, there's probably arguments in the other direction as well. Like, do we want our officials, our leaders being dominated?
Yeah.
I can spin this. I work for him now. Here's how it goes. When you go to a sub-dom dungeon like that, from what I understand, 90% of those people are titans of industry. Because
Yes.
they're making decisions
Alpha
all day.
males.
I've always said that.
So this guy is a titan
boss.
of industry in the making.
It's always been my argument. You don't see any day laborers show up
No.
there or guys who work on the floor, the Budweiser plant in Van Nuys
No.
that are getting they get yelled at by their boss all day long. Their life is a sort of low-grade version of
Yep.
being dominated. You know what I mean? It's always the guys who dominate
Yes.
who want to flip the script.
So he's ready. He's being groomed for it.
Yeah, it's basically the guys who work at the Italian food place don't go out and eat Italian food.
Right.
They go out and eat Thai food
Sure.
because that's their life.
they're surrounded by
All right. Well, I'd like him in charge.
And if he was the dominator, his life would be over. His career would be over if he was seen like beating a woman.
Oh, yeah.
But this, I think we can all get behind this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Female empowerment.
Yeah.
It's got my vote. All right. We'll talk to Sean Williams and Danny Gold. These guys are reporters, and they know all about organized crime
I'm
and
excited
gangs.
about this.
I'm curious about MS-13.
Yeah.
That's going to be good. So we'll get into all that in a second. First, I'll tell you about Caldera Lab. That's right. Dry skin, acne scars, wrinkles, or just want healthier skin. This is the product I use. The Good by Caldera Lab. Non-toxic, natural serum made from 100% plants. That's right. All plants. Named by GQ as the best natural face serum for men. For all guys and all skin types. Great with a beard or a bald head. Yeah. A dry scalp works nicely on that as well. Keeps it shiny and moisturized. Caldera believes you shouldn't have to decide between clean, sustainable ingredients and real results. Simply apply to dry skin, dry, clean skin, by the way, and Bob's your uncle. You will notice the difference immediately. Try it 100% risk-free. If you don't love it, they will refund it, your money in full. Caldera, right, Dawson?
Special offer for the Adam Carolla Show audience. 20% off your first Caldera Lab purchase of The Good. Go to calderalab.com/Adam. That's CALDERALAB.com. Or use discount code Adam at checkout.
All right, take a quick break, and we'll be back with our reporters right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Ace Man, gotta get it on. Hey, this is John in Jacksonville, 55. Got a rich man, poor man for you. Hope you haven't heard it before, but I just called in and screwed up, so I'm going to correct it a little bit. Relaxes in his box. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Relaxes in his box.
Is that like prison cell versus sauna?
No, it's like cardboard box versus luxury press box.
Oh, box.
Stadium.
Press box.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Good.
Or not press box.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Sweet. Sean Williams has joined us. Danny Gold has joined us. Sean's in London. Danny's in New York. The podcast is called the Underworld Podcast, available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podcast One as well. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you so much for having us, Adam.
Hey. Yeah, thanks, guys.
It's weird to me. I don't know a ton about your field of expertise, gangs and underworld and mafia and cartels and that kind of stuff. But it seems counterintuitive to me that they seem bigger now in 2021 than maybe they were in 2000. Does it just feel that way, or do we just have more information, or is there any way to measure it?
Maybe there's just everyone's making true crime podcasts these days. That's why.
We're more aware of it.
It definitely, I mean, when you're talking cartels, the situation in Mexico has definitely ramped up, and there's a lot more violence there. I think also you've seen just a lot of documentaries, whether it's a Nat Geo documentary about MS-13 or something else that's out there that kind of, hypes things up in a way.
So it may just be our perception. It may be like, I don't know, after Jaws came out, we all started worrying about sharks, but they're 2 million years old and there wasn't actually more shark attacks. It was just we were talking about it. Let's talk about MS-13. I've heard about these guys. They seem to be particularly savage. I guess certain groups take on certain personalities, and MS-13 seems to be much more vicious than many of the other gangs. Is that a true statement?
It's debatable, right? They got a lot of attention because they've got the face tattoos. There's stories of them with machetes, heads being cut off, things like that. And they really grabbed the public's attention. And they kind of got hyped up a lot too, I think, in the last couple of years for political reasons. But no, they're pretty vicious, and they do a lot of bad things, especially in El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras.
Who are some of the states, some of the nations who are doing it right with the gangs and this underworld syndicates and things like that? Now, obviously, Mexico is a D-, F+ or whatever. Many of these South American and Central American countries, are not doing a bang-up job in this department. Is Canada kicking ass in this department? Like, who has it under control, and why do they have it under control?
Does anyone have it under control?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Well,
Luxembourg maybe, or like one of those.
Yeah.
I guess kind of what I'm saying is if you said to me, are you worried about being a victim of a violent gang, and you have a choice between going to Montreal or going to Guadalajara, I would probably pick Montreal. I may be wrong, but I would say the likelihood would be less of me getting put in a duffel bag.
I would say that's a pretty solid shout. Yeah.
All right, let me write that down.
It's like we follow kind of gangs in different ways as well. So some of them are like really violent, like MS-13 and some other groups that we've covered. But some are like online scammers taking billions off sort of old ladies in the States pretending to be like soldiers, and others take different shapes. I don't know. These gangs, like it's such a wide world. But yeah, some of them are super violent. I mean, You've been all over the place with MS-13, Danny, so you know it way better than I do.
Yeah, they're not nice people. But yeah, it's not just gangs too. We look into a lot of organized crime stuff, which you're going to see people in organized crime as opposed to what you would consider MS-13. A lot of them want to shy away from violence because that messes up business. So it's not in their best interest a lot of the times to handle things with violence.
Maybe this is a little outside of your scope, but feel free to weigh in. When you hear about like Russian hackers, and then, Biden has the summit with Putin, and then he has a laundry list of shit he doesn't want them to hack into. What is a Russian hacker, and like how much dominion does Putin have over the Russian hacker? Like, could Putin just go, hey, hackers, knock it off, no more hacking into oil lines or poultry farms or whatever they're getting into? Are they on Russian soil? Does he have dominion? Are they doing his bidding?
Is there some intermediary to plausible deniability or something?
And I can't wait for you to tell me if I'm right or wrong, because from what I understand is there's this sort of unspoken rule where he won't extradite anybody as long as he can call upon them to do a favor, and they leave his shit alone. Is that correct?
Sean, I mean, Eastern Europe, former Soviet Union, all those areas have gotten a lot of attention for the hackers that are there. And it's not just, people going after state infrastructure or secrets like that. A lot of them are tapping into, financial reasons, money and all that. We did an episode on sort of Bitcoin bloods, we called them, and Nigerian scammers. And a big part of that was these kids in cities like New York, in DC, and whatever else were going on websites and buying hacked credit card numbers with Bitcoin. This was a thing maybe 4 or 5 years ago was really popular. And a lot of the people who were hacking these, every time you see a news article about Target gets hacked or a credit card system in McDonald's in Iowa gets hacked. A lot of the times that's hackers in places like Eastern Europe, the former Soviet Union. And what they're doing is they're selling those hacked credit card numbers. Now that's for financial gain. As far as the state security stuff, I mean, I can't really attest to that too well. I definitely think there was a situation in Russia where, they aren't quick to extradite people to other countries for crimes committed that don't really affect the state there.
Yeah, the guys who hacked the oil pipeline got paid out allegedly like $4.4 million.
But didn't we recollect that? Wasn't that like the win that we got the money back?
The story I heard was most of it.
I just thought they got paid, but I'm like thinking, does Putin get to wet his beak or they get to keep all the money if they're successful at it? I don't know.
Isn't he worth like tens of billions of dollars, like low key? I don't know.
Is there any way to verify that?
They've got that. They've got their troll army in St. Petersburg as well, so I'm sure there's something. But I don't know.
Brian's got a question. Go ahead, Brian.
I'm looking at your list of episodes here. Speaking of Russia, there's something called the Russian Mafia's NFL extortion play. I'm dying to know what that is.
Yeah, that's the NHL extortion play. That was a situation in the 90s. And we used the word.
I highlighted it too.
It says NFL on our sheet. Go ahead.
Does it?
That's us.
Oh, that's our mistake.
Somebody hacked into Kalen's brain.
No, what happened? What's that all about?
We use the term mafia kind of loosely, right? Mafia really only refers to Italian organized crime originating in places like Sicily. We just mean, it's just a catch-all term for like Russian gangsters. Sure. But in the 90s, there was this big influx of Russian organized crime figures all over the world as the Soviet Union sort of fell apart. And you also had an influx of immigrants as well as NHL players, right? Because the former Soviet Union produced a lot of really good hockey players, but they couldn't really come here too easily. But in the late 80s and early 90s, they started showing up in the NHL. They're earning millions of dollars. There's also Russian gangsters that are showing up. They want a cut of that $1 million. So there were all these reports coming out of players being extorted. Basically, you're going to give us a cut of your salary. Otherwise, something's going to happen to your family that's in Ukraine or in Moscow or something like that. And then there were lots of rumors of hockey players like Pavel Bure who were friendly, buddy with some of these Russian mafiosos. There was never anything proven when it comes to fixing games, but there was definitely relationships there where they went into business together in Russia and things of that nature.
It's so funny because out of the 15, 18 episodes, I actually highlighted that one too, because like Russia and the NFL.
Yeah, like
how do you not know this
or something?
How
Never
is it not
heard
a 30
of that.
for 30?
But, NHL
makes
now
a lot of sense.
Perfect sense. Gina has a question.
Well, these topics are fascinating. I can't wait to plow through these. But one that has been in our news for so long is, when you have about Murder City, USA, St. Louis's record-breaking murder rates. When people think of murder rates, they don't think of the Midwest. I'm from the Midwest, and we don't think of the Midwest. So, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I did a documentary there a couple years ago, and it was one of those things too where I was shocked. I pay attention to statistics a lot, these sort of things. And you hear a lot about Chicago. You hear a lot about Baltimore. You used to hear back in the 90s about New York, about LA and things like that. But you never hear about St. Louis. And when you look at the numbers in St. Louis, it has a really shocking high number of murders. I think it's been number one in the U.S. murder rate for the last 7 years. Jesus. And we're talking last year, I think it was up near 80 per 100,000 people were killed. And that's numbers that you see in cartel cities in Mexico, that you see in Brazil. If you look at the top cities across the world for murder rates, it's like Mexico, Brazil, Brazil, St. Louis, Mexico, Brazil, Brazil.
Why?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think, it's a number of things, right? You have really loose gun laws in Missouri. So, I enjoy shooting. I have a lot of friends that are really into guns. The reason you're going to see high murder rates in the U.S. as opposed to other developed countries is, guns is got to be the number one reason, right? You also have a city there that's kind of on the decline. right? I think it had 850,000 people back in the 1950s, and now it's got about 300,000 people.
Oh, wow.
And that can kind of tell you what's happened to the job market there, what's happened to industry and all that. You have a really bad drug problem, right? Because the surrounding areas have been hit really hard with the opioid epidemic. That's, rural white areas. And that's led to the heroin market going through the roof. Tons of drugs move through there too because of the highway system. A lot of shipments go through St. Louis.
It's the perfect storm.
Right. You have a history there too of discrimination going really back with North St. Louis is where most of the murders are concentrated. And this is an area that is completely blighted. It's been deprived of resources for 50, 60, 70 years. So once you have jobs disappearing, once you have guns, drugs, gangs come out of that poverty, you have this like perfect storm of every problem in America that's happening in St. Louis right now.
Oh, boy.
I was interviewing Bill O'Reilly, I don't know, a month ago. He's talking about a book on gangs or his Kill series.
Yeah.
And the mafia and that kind of stuff. Cartels.
Killing the mob, I think.
Yeah, and we was talking about a lot of this killing that's going on in a lot of these places like St. Louis, although we're probably talking more about Chicago or something that's a little more mainstream. He said a lot of it is gang related. I mean, we're aware of that, but he said a lot of it has to do with cartels and drugs and gangs, and I was sort of sitting around going, I thought it was just crazy people shooting each other. But it does kind of make sense that it should be a little more motivated than just crazy people shooting each other constantly. How do the cartels or the drug gangs or the mafia or whatever, how does that factor into those types of homicides in the cities we're talking about?
I would say the cartels and mafia stuff for cities like Chicago, St. Louis, these other cities with high murder rates is kind of exaggerated. I don't see cartels playing a huge role in Chicago, especially in St. Louis. You do have gangs there, but these days, things are so fractured. You have little street crews, block to block situations, but you have a lot of domestic murders, right? A lot of murders that happen in a city like St. Louis or like Chicago. People know each other sometimes. I mean, you do have a really bad gang problem in the South Side Chicago, on the North Side of St. Louis that really factors into it. And it's weird now because you talk to these guys that are in their 50s, right? These guys who came up in the 80s and 90s when things were really, really bad. And they'll tell you that, back then we were killing when it had to do with money, with business, with things like that. Now it's not really always about money. You have a lot of stuff that comes out of social media. I mean, I can't tell you how many situations have occurred with, kids in their 17, 18, 19, 20 that have gotten into serious situations because of Instagram comments or Facebook comments and threats made on that. And, those things go off, but it's a combination of a lot of things of why these cities are suffering these really high murder rates. Gangs definitely play a big role in it. If you look at New York too, I mean, the murder rate here, it's gone up a little bit the past couple of years. Well, a decent amount the last 2 years, but it's still nothing to what it was in the 90s. And a lot of these murders are from like these little street crews that are just beefing with each other over nonsense.
Yeah, I found myself, I think maybe talking to some younger person. I don't know, maybe it was my 15-year-old son or somebody.
He's a younger person.
Even somebody in their 30s or something. And you go, Times Square, it's all Disney and M&M's now. It was I was there in the mid-90s. Dicey, peep shows. You didn't want to be out there at night, Central Park, jogging, people getting raped. And like, they can't even picture that Central Park world or that New York Times Square world. And I don't know, maybe we're slowly getting back into it. Although I think in New York, I think they just had their mayoral race that's ongoing because they have a way of voting there that's going to take it to like mid-July or something. But I think they're going a little more law and order these days. I think the gentleman that's in the lead is a guy who is ex-police officer who just basically said, I carry a gun. Like, that shit wouldn't have worked 10 years ago.
Well, Danny might know. He's in New York.
Yes.
Yeah. Eric Adams. Yeah, he says some wild things, but yeah, he's winning right now. It looks like he's definitely going to win, even with the ranked choice voting. He was a cop. He's very strong on law and order. He also is big on like police reform as well in a way. Definitely not defunding or taking cops off the streets, but he was like very critical of racism in the police force and things like that. But yeah, he is through and through a law and order candidate. And if you look at the neighborhoods he won, the neighborhoods that he won, they're like the really crime-plagued neighborhoods. But it's, the situation in New York, it's kind of like a two things can be true at the same time situation, right? Like, it's nowhere near as bad as it was in the early 90s or in the 90s at all. We're not even close to that. But if you look at how much violence, like murder, has gone up over the last 2 years, it's significant and it's concerning.
So let's shift over to California, and we have that border with Mexico. I feel like the cartels are, I don't know, eating creatine or something these days. Like, I just feel like they're going ballistic. And then there's China, and there's I've talked to some experts about China setting up labs in Mexico and fentanyl labs, because they're the guys who can do the chemistry part of it. And
it's not the Mexico we know.
Yeah, should we discuss that side of the border a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, Mexico right now is just kind of, it's out of control. It's really concerning. I don't, the day-to-day of the narco wars, and you can go, there are like Reddit boards for this, there are blogs for this. It's really hard to get a grip on what's happening, right? There's different firefights breaking out everywhere. I just saw Reynosa was really bad recently. I actually was going to do a story in a city called Altar a month or two ago, but the guy that we were going to go spend time with got picked up by the Mexican military about 4 days before our flights. So that was kind of a bummer. But yeah, I mean, Mexico is really, really bad right now. It's concerning. The Chinese stuff, I'm not super tapped into that. Sean actually had this story he was on 2 years ago where he was like traipsing around the jungles of Burma looking for, was he Burmese or Chinese, this drug lord?
Seichi Lop is like a Canadian national. He's like, yeah, this guy makes like El Chapo look like a street pusher. The guy's worth like $17 billion. So he's like the biggest narco in the world, and he's out in Burma.
Good for him.
With all these kind of Chinese-backed guys. So it's really kicking off there. Yeah, it's crazy.
I just came up with a simple solution on, how your nation is doing.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to date myself with this game, but if Mexico was an Etch-a-Sketch, I would shake it violently.
Okay,
I would just
over.
go, we're starting over. I wouldn't do that with many European nations and Canada and the United States, but there's a lot of nations where I'd go, if you were an Etch-a-Sketch, would we shake you and just start fresh?
Right.
There's a blank screen. And if the answer is yes, that's bad.
That's a problem.
That's a problem for your nation.
You're going to force reboot your computer. There's too much going on.
I don't know how to say that in Spanish. Etch-a-Sketch is probably translates.
When we talk about nations like that, one that we don't seem to think about very often, but I'm glad it made the list, because anything I know about this country, I've seen in movies and TV shows, and they look like some of the scariest human beings on the planet. When you talk about Albania.
Albania.
What's the vibe? Yeah. What's the vibe over there? Because it does seem scary.
It's not scary, but there are like these huge cartels there that have basically taken over the drug routes in loads of parts of Europe, like especially London. They're huge. The Albanians have pushed everyone out of town. I mean, this again is another country that had this like insane history. It was like a North Korea all through the Cold War. They had this like dictator who wouldn't even let the people look out across the sea to Greece or they'd be arrested. And they put up like 750,000 machine gun posts around the border to stop people getting out. I mean, I think there was only like 1.5 million people in the whole country. And they were so backward that they only came out of communism in like 92, and people didn't even know the Soviet Union had gone. Wow. So like, obviously in a country that poor at that time, there's just like a massive black markets in smuggling, like cars, all sorts of stuff. And they had a whole village that was just like guys who basically ran like a huge amount of Europe's weed market.
Also smuggling young blonde girls. Let's not forget they were the antagonists in Taken.
All right.
Right, the Albanians.
Yeah.
That's true.
They're ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not here to defend Albania, but I do have a no-gazing policy as well that I implement here at work. Sometimes I'll find a guy looking across at another warehouse.
Right, staring wistfully out the window.
You can't let that stand.
Yeah. Rules are rules.
You learn quick.
Oh, my God. So what is the solution. Not that you guys know, but I mean,
I got nothing.
Because when I talk to experts about Mexican cartels, like as soon as they catch wind that we're going to legalize pot and there's going to be pot dispensaries everywhere, they shift from pot to fentanyl, or to human trafficking.
They pivot.
They just pivot,
Diversify.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they are kind of, to give the Diablos their due, they're sort of like nature. They're like cockroaches, you know what I mean? Like they just you start coming up with pesticides and they start giving birth to offspring that aren't affected by the pesticide. Like they're constantly moving, evolving, like that's their job.
They're clearly good at business, otherwise they wouldn't be doing this.
They're better than Blockbuster Video. I mean...
Yeah, I mean the cartels, they're ruthless, and like you said, like they're going to adjust their business markets to what they see fit. I think we do have to acknowledge the role that the U.S. plays in sort of them getting to the level they're at. A lot of the guns that they use come from the U.S. There have been scandals about that. Owen Grillo, a fantastic author, just had a book come out about that right now, and he kind of talks about how if we just regulated the gun market here a little bit better, it could actually make a difference in the violence in Mexico because there are just so many guns coming in there from the U.S.
Well,
and when it comes to cocaine, of course, too, it's like, we're their biggest market for what's going on. Well, of course, if everyone in the U.S. everyone in the U.S. stops doing cocaine and we stop selling them guns, things are still going to be pretty bad. But I feel like that's a starting point,
Yeah, I think we have no intention of doing that.
Well, let's not do it on the same day.
There goes 4th of July.
What about
That's
Obama's the best story, the Operation Fast and Furious, where they sent all the guns down that were supposed to be tagged and lost track of all of them?
Yeah, whoops.
Yeah, it was a pretty ugly situation.
Yeah, it just feels so endless, like. Sadly, it never feels like it has an end. And first off, our thirst for cocaine, it's sort of like, we tell everyone here, don't buy shit made in China. Buy stuff made in the United States. Let's support our factories. And then as soon as you find out that the badminton set is $8 more, you go, fuck it.
Yeah, no way.
No way.
I need it tomorrow in prime shipping.
Yeah, we just don't have that kind of constitution or intestinal fortitude or something. And it'd be awesome if people stopped doing cocaine. I agree. I didn't even know cocaine. Is cocaine popular now? Is it had a resurgence?
Did it ever go away?
In London, it is huge.
Really?
I think London is like one of the highest consumers of coke in the world.
How much is it a gram?
You'll have to ask someone else.
This is a test.
He knows.
Ask your dealer roommate.
I'm just reporting on it. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty cheap.
I think it's cheap. This is one of my greatest laments. When I made $9 an hour, it was $120 a gram, and I couldn't get laid. Now I'm rich, and it's $20 a gram. I could do all the cocaine I wanted. This is a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're the real victim here.
Chris, see what, if I'm in London and I'm going to buy some cocaine.
Do the conversion.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're
Sean's usually based in Berlin, so it's a lot more. It's a lot more like ketamine and rave drugs than cocaine.
Party drugs, yeah.
Oh, really? I want to give you guys a plug. The podcast is the Underworld Podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podcast One. Sean and Danny, thanks for joining us, and thanks for enlightening us and also depressing us simultaneously.
Thanks for having us.
We aim to please.
Thanks, guys. We'll come back and we'll revisit this stuff soon. All right. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back and do the news right after this.
Give me the news with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking, viral, weird crime, protest, politics. Give me news with Gina Grad. Stuff they saw on TMZ. Joe Biden, Kamala. Beat news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, I am happy to report that we have some piping hot View news, mid-tepid View news. So after football player Carl Nassib came out over the weekend, the ladies of The View, of course, had to spend some of their time discussing it without Whoopi. Whoopi was not in this episode, or at least this clip, but Joy Behar tried her hand at a joke about it. Didn't go over well. Here's the joke.
Las Vegas.
Okay.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Anna, after they said penetration in the end zone, they lost me. So, Sonny, is this a sign that this...
So I love the reactions.
Sonny.
One girl puts her head down. Anna Navarro puts her fingers in her ears. Sunny Hostin shakes her head, and Meghan McCain stares straight in the camera. So upon hearing this, everyone got super uncomfortable. Then, having realized this went over like a lead balloon, Joy circled back later and had this to say.
I just long for the days when you can just be gay in the world, and it doesn't become a big deal. By the way, that inappropriate joke I made for daytime television, scratch it. Make believe I never said it. We'll be right back.
I do that with everything she says.
It wasn't much of a joke. It's kind of a stupid play on
it's
words.
also dumb because they go, after they said penetration in the end zone, they didn't say that. They said he's gay. Like, I don't know if anyone... See, here's what it is. She has a joke writer guy. I watched a whole sort of behind the scenes on The View.
Where's that available?
So I can avoid it.
They did this weird thing. They did this expose on The View. I think The View may have done it on The View. I remember watching it like 10 years ago, and I took special note. The reason I took special note is Joy had this like elderly vaudevillian Catskillian kind of old guy who was there writing those kinds of jokes for her. And the reason I took note of it is in the series I was watching, or in the special I was watching, he said, do this joke, whatever. And then they showed her on the show doing the joke, but she butchered the joke. So it was like a weird, why would you expose that? It wasn't John Stossel doing it. I think it was The View, showing the inner workings of The View. And it's also kind of weird that, my grandfather went to his grave thinking Paul Lynde thought of all those jokes spontaneously, and he didn't know that he would have fucked it up for him if they showed a writing session of someone punching up these questions in advance. But anyway.
So somebody wrote that for her?
I think so, and this is the kind of guy who would do it. And they didn't say penetration in the end zone. The guy was I guess a defensive end. I thought he was a tight end yesterday. But
Joy would know that.
Defensive lineman.
Either way. Is he? But an end, right?
Yeah. He's on tackle.
Anyway, the first things first. I'm not in the business of defending Joy Behar, but I would like to be consistent and say people are allowed to make jokes.
Yeah.
People are allowed to be offended by jokes, but nobody thinks Joy Behar is against any kind of gay rights or lesbian rights. No. She's knee-deep in that culture, and she's at the tip of that spear. So what are we really saying? And then we're kind of saying, well, it's an inappropriate whatever. But who's Joy Behar? She's not an airplane pilot. She's a comedian. She's there for comedic effect. She's going to attempt to make jokes. No. She's kind of showing her age because that's the kind of joke you would make, the tight end and the tight in the end zone and pennant across, So that's what she's doing. She's just kind of showing her ham-handedness and her age, and it'd be nice if it was funnier. Right.
Do you think that it was her choice to go, oh God, what did I just say? Or somebody ran up to her and said, you need to address this so we can move on?
I'm assuming she licked her finger and put it in the air, during the commercial break and didn't like which way the wind was blowing. But she's allowed to make jokes, and
they're allowed to suck.
They're allowed to suck, and I don't know what we're at. What do we want Joy Behar to do? I mean, she's there as the comedian. As I chronicled it. Poor Max Zapata can now find it in my book, In 50 Years We'll All Be Chicks. I think I gave a very good description of Joy Behar, which we trot out every 2.5 years or so. But it's The View. I don't need the whole page. It's just Joy Behar's the funny one from The View. we'll figure that out. Anyway, stupid joke, but all right, everyone, let her make jokes. That's her job.
Who would be watching The View that would, first of all, understand what kind of football joke that was, but would also... I don't really know who that was for.
The biggest problem with the joke is she set it up like somebody said penetration in the end zone right in front of her, but that wasn't.
Is that a thing? I don't even know.
No one
she's
really
referring
says
to.
that. No.
They're just funny sounding words.
Got
to
it.
her.
Okay. Remember a while back when we talked about there being a class action lawsuit against a Subway sandwich place in California because of the quote, it being quote, bereft of tuna in the tuna sandwiches?
I am deeply saddened by how many people love Subway.
Oh,
yeah.
I am deeply saddened by that. I feel the exact same way about Subway as I do for the Denny's versus the corner breakfast joint.
Yeah.
For the same price,
You can do so much
ostensibly,
better.
you can get something. There's
no yoga mats.
nothing better than a good hoagie,
A fresh
sub,
Italian sub.
from a place that does it. I so many people I are like, I like Subway. My favorite sandwiches. Blah, blah. There's so many of those people out there.
But do you
McDonald's
remember-
versus the juicy burger on the corner.
Right, but do you remember
or even
when
pizza?
But Subway specifically expanded it like a crazy rate out of nowhere, like where all of a sudden there was this big push to have a Subway, like 2 Subways on every block in the world. So the New York Daily News reports that
it lets me know. Okay, here's the difference between humans and animals. Evolved humans want a variety, and animals want consistency. Never heard a dog complain that's the same
much
old
kibble.
whatever, the same kibbles I had the day before. Like dogs and kids are very much into consistency. Like that's what a kid is. And then you evolve and you want to try different things and new things or more refined things. But kids just want, I like Kraft mac and cheese, and you go, well, I'll make some real elbow macaroni and melt some real cheese.
this
and some
looks
real.
weird.
I want Mrs. Butterworth synthesized imitation fake syrup with fake synthesized butter flavor in it, and then you go down to Trader Joe's and get real maple syrup in a glass bottle, and they go, I don't like that. I like a squeeze bottle. Okay, who are these people? They're dumb people. What are kids? They're just dumb people.
No.
That's what they are. So I get it. Like, I got a son, and him and all his little friends, they have their sandwich that they liked at Subway. But at some point, they kind of graduate
grow out of
into Jimmy John's or whatever it is. They start. Sonny has made his transition from that to that. Now, the 45-year-olds that just have their sandwich at Subway, God fucking help you. I could measure someone's IQ if they just simply told me, like, yeah, I'm a Pizza Hut guy, you know what I mean? But
The Subway once a week,
Why don't you go to Caccione's on the
there's
corner?
Gino's
Like,
East in Burbank.
No, I like a stuffed crust.
No. Hot dog crust.
Yeah.
I just got the 5-year-old to switch from Subway to Jimmy John's. And he said, I want Subway. I go, I will make you a deal. I'm going to go buy you a Little John, their little sandwich. And if you don't like it, I'll buy you 2 Subway sandwiches. Well, guess where we don't go anymore? So they can be swayed, but you have to allow for that.
Yeah.
So here's the deal with the Subway sandwich. The New York Daily News reports that a lab test set up by the New York Times reportedly detected no tuna DNA in 60 inches of Subway tuna sandwiches that were examined.
60?
60 inches.
That's 5 feet.
Yeah. So according to a spokesperson...
Hold on. Who doesn't get a 6 foot? It's a 5 footer?
They got 5 foot longs.
Oh, they do?
No, they got.
No, it's a 5.
They
How much is
tested
cocaine?
5 foot
5
long
foot
subs.
longs. Oh, okay.
60 inches of subs.
How much for a gram of cocaine?
$60 these days.
All right. Just curious.
And remember that scandal when their foot long wasn't really a foot long? So this is the new
They're getting
one.
you everywhere.
Hold on.
Coming and going.
If someone can figure out an Alan Parsons question right now, we will hit on the trifecta of Dawson. Fast
Dawson's
food
knowledge.
sandwiches,
Cocaine is the trifecta.
Well, Alan Parsons could be ahead
is
of
news to
cocaine.
me.
Well, it's not news to anyone who knows you. All right, those are the big 3.
If it's, yes.
Recreational drugs.
I would imagine they went
fast
to
food.
5 different Subways and got footlongs at each.
So the first explanation is that the Subway's tuna is so heavily processed that if there is tuna in it, it just can't be detected anymore. The second
That's their
possibility,
defense?
is it's just not tuna.
We're gonna go with the second
Subway
possibility.
argued that there's simply no truth to these allegations. I think they said the tuna is 100% real and 100% delicious.
Isn't it?
That's
totally
what they,
cheap.
And someone else even blamed the cannery. It said, well, maybe they switched the label on the cannery and they thought they were getting tuna, but they were really getting something else.
Well, the only logical answer is we all know there's sort of fake sushi, right?
Yeah, surimi.
Whatever the fish
Yeah.
is, it's not what it's
Crab with a
supposed
common
to
K.
be. Yeah,
But I
fake
think
crab.
at the deli, they call it like surimi.
Is there
surimi.
fake tuna?
I imagine they would use a cheaper fish like tilapia or something.
Yeah.
Cod?
But a can of tuna at Trader Joe's is like 99 cents. I
Yeah.
imagine Subway gets a better deal on it.
But, and I'm not defending them, and actually I'm even grossing myself out more. If you tested a chicken McNugget, I doubt you'd find chicken DNA at that point. It's a pink liquid.
Oh, you'd find DNA.
Well,
I
they found
think.
none.
Well, so that means that they're not using tuna; they're using some tilapia
Yeah.
or some other fish that they then mix with all the mayonnaise and whatnot. But it's not. It can't just be
Some horse
soy.
meat.
Soylent Green.
Soylent Green.
They mix it with cocaine.
Yeah.
Oh, Soylent Green. Well, no, never mind. Soylent Green wasn't plant-based. Never mind.
Human based.
Yep. So this is funny because at our house, everything's basketball right now, which is how I rolled my foot. And everything's basketball. All we do is play basketball with the little guy. He wants to be a basketball player. I put on Globetrotters music. And this is perfect timing since we talk about this all the time. The Harlem Globetrotters have written a letter to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver with one simple request. They want to become an actual NBA franchise, which I was just talking about because I used to go see them and I didn't understand why regular NBA games were so boring because I didn't know the difference because I was a little kid. The Globetrotters pointed out that the NBA has played in 17 countries. The Globetrotters have played in 122 countries. They brought basketball to the world stage. The Globetrotters went further, claiming basketball would not be what it is today without them. And they want to, quote, right the wrongs and rewrite history by joining the NBA.
I think famously, like Wilt Chamberlain was a Globetrotter or somebody. There's been some pretty big names that were Globetrotters.
I mean,
don't know
they're
if
good
it's-
basketball players, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck, I don't know. But someone name you would recognize.
Yeah. Or maybe it was just for a game or something like that. Yeah. I think it'd be kind of fun.
Could
Red,
they
white, and
do?
blue
Could they?
uniforms.
Would they get a foul for pulling someone's pants down, revealing their polka dot bloomers?
Well, they would just be,
Real
they
basketball
would
players.
recruit players
Yeah.
and just be another franchise. It'd be kind of fun.
It would be great.
And Harlem be fun, and the outfits would be fun. Although they'd have to get some weird, edgy black outfit now or something.
Oh, couldn't be the
No more
whole-
American
the whole
flag?
song,
No,
yeah.
that would be problematic, I
Okay.
think, today.
You're right. I'll keep you posted on that. Kevin Hart is the most foul-mouthed celebrity on Twitter.
And he would make a horrible Globetrotter. He's like 5'6".
The comedian unleashed 954 curse words in his last 3,000 tweets. This is according to a survey by something called Mr. Q. That put him just ahead of reality star Brandi Glanville, who cursed 946 times in her last 3,000 tweets. In a distant third from a reality star,
Adam Carolla.
close, rapper 50 Cent, swore 742 times, more than Cardi B, only 480, and singer Charlie XCX, that's the whole top 5. The word fuck was the most commonly used curse word, being used more than 5,000 times throughout all these tweets.
Who's keeping a tally of this?
Mr. Q.
Mr. Q.
Oh, Mr.
Survey.
Q. Max Pata, anything from that book?
Yeah, I found the audiobook clip. It's going to take like 20 more seconds. For me to
Okay.
load up.
Oh, we have that.
You could have read it, but that's all right.
You're going to like this, and I sure hope that if Governor Newsom doesn't want to be recalled, he gets this going in California. Schools in Rhode Island will now require students to take a financial literacy class in order to graduate.
Somebody tweeted me this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2021. You know how many people I speak to who are adults now who just go, my family didn't even tell me about checking
No.
accounts. Like, I never knew about what a credit card was.
Why would you?
I didn't even know how to apply for it. It's like, What do we have schools for if we're just releasing all these people? Like
dummies.
I took ceramics, I took horticulture, I took sewing, I took cooking, where we learned to make Pillsbury popovers. We made Parmesan poppers.
Yep.
You take Pillsbury dough, you put on a fucking tray, and you sprinkle Parmesan cheese on top of it, like the least
Delicious.
nutritious thing anyone can eat. I learned all that. I've never had any discussions about financial literacy or how the stock market worked or any nature.
You know who benefits from that lack of information, of course, is the financial industry.
Right.
People don't know what their APR is.
They walk off the high school campus and then walk onto a college campus, and someone gives them a credit card at 23%.
That's me. I got a free Slinky.
You have the
rainbow colored.
You have that 50 years clip where I addressed Joy Behar?
Yeah, well, this is the entire View cast.
Oh, well, half of them haven't even been there anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah, you can scrub.
Okay, just give me a second.
You can do one or two leading. I don't know. Is Whoopi? You just play it. Go ahead. Sorry. The View. I know I'm a guy. I know I'm supposed to hate The View. But I don't hate The View because I have a dick. I hate The View because I have a brain. The View is going on what feels like its 35th season. It has numerous Emmy nominations and even an Emmy win. And it's a disjointed, scattered piece of shit that's hosted by some of the least compelling, most untalented people that have ever graced a television set. If this show consisted of 5 guys sitting around talking over each other with the occasional hackneyed joke awkwardly shoehorned into the meaningless conversation, it would have been yanked off the air years ago. You see, 10 in the morning, all the smart people are at work, and that leaves the View's audience. Barbara Walters is about as interesting and funny as that one old teacher you had in junior high. I know everyone treats her like she's some kind of national treasure, but she's clearly past her prime, and no one at that show would dare utter a word. It's about the same relationship Saddam Hussein shared with his co-workers. When she finally decides to hang up her dentures and call it a career, there'll be a silent celebration akin to what the guards did after the Wicked Witch got a bucket of water tossed on her head. On her last show, the lavalier mics will be recording a lot of, "We'll miss you, we'll stay in touch, we don't know how we'll carry on without you," but the inner monologue will skew a little more toward, "Have fun on the Greyhound bus to hell, bitch." Sherry Shepherd is dumb. She's read one book and it's the Bible. She's not ha-ha funny, she's more, we need a fat chick who's not funny. Elizabeth Hasselbeck gets a pass because she's already being punished on a daily basis. Could you imagine if your lot in life is to be wedged between Barbara Walters and Sherry Shepherd? She's the lunch meat between a stale piece of sourdough and the dumbest slab of pumpernickel that ever hit the day-old bin at the bakery. Whoopi Goldberg. What happened to the unstoppable force of comedy that had us doubled over with spun gold such as Burglar, Jumping Jack Flash, and Eddie? An Emmy for The View? An Oscar for Ghost? She deserves those about as much as Elvis deserved his black belt in Taekwondo. Joy Behar, she's the funny one. That's like saying Marwan al-Shihi was the funniest of the 9/11 hijackers. I'm a dick. I remember I had to research for the book. What were the names of those hijackers again? Give me a deep cut in the 9/11 hijackers. See if I can pronounce it.
And you delivered.
Mm-hmm.
And so financial literacy, there's only 6 states in the United States that require it as a standalone personal finance class: Alabama, Iowa, North Carolina, Tennessee, Utah, and Virginia.
We do. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna get angry. Just make it.
I'm shocked there's
just
even
put
6.
it everywhere.
Yeah, I'm shocked there's even 6.
I was trying to think of what we made in home ec, and I remember now a grilled peanut butter and jelly that we just flipped in a pan, and a drink called a purple cow, which I think was like something grape based, and like it was almost like an orange Julius, but cheap and purple.
I
Like
remember
something creamy.
very distinctly when I was done sewing my pillowcase together.
Yeah, the pillowcase.
Mm-hmm.
I made a tie-dyed pillowcase. And I remember standing in front of the teacher, was like sitting she had a book in front of her, and I was like holding it up, and I go, did I get a grade on this? And she's like, yeah. And I go, did you log the grade? And she's like, yep. And I just opened my fingers and dropped right into the trash can right at her desk. All right, I'm going to go eat.
Yeah, a purple cow is basically just grape juice and milk frothed.
Yeah. And
pretty
again,
vile.
Parmesan Pillsbury. I mean, open a thing of Pillsbury popping fresh.
Oh,
and
look
just,
at you.
Blah.
Real Julia Child.
Yeah.
All right. Here's something that'll put you in a better mood if you don't already know. The orange 1994 Toyota Supra, driven by Paul Walker's character in Fast and Furious, has been sold, according to Fox News. Do you know how much it went for?
Fuck yeah, I know. I think I'm an asshole. I was fucking checking my phone every 10 minutes when that thing was going off on Saturday. I had Matt, the moderator down there, was sending me pictures of it.
Oh, shit, in live time.
I had Chris Morgan, who started the whole Fast and Furious franchise. I was like on a thread with him. I was like, hey, man, Matt's down there. He'll raise a paddle.
Was Chris like, Adam, you got to let it go?
It went for...
You care too much.
It went for...
It's just a movie.
Yeah.
I sent him a text or something, but it went for $550.
Yes.
But I told him you could have bought that car for $7,000 when you guys wrapped.
What'd he say?
Yeah, I know, because I'm a dick. But he's rich, and what do I care? You know what I mean? You can't make fun. You got to punch up.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? You, by the way, you can make fun of like Mark Garagos all you want. He's just in his private jet. Like he doesn't.
laughing
those guys
at all
have,
of
you
us.
can't fuck with people who have real problems.
That's right. So the sports car was used for the close-up hero shots during the filming and was repainted and featured as a different car in the first sequel of the franchise. Toyota discontinued the Supra in 1998, but resurrected the name on a new model in 2020 because of the film. Do you have any guesses as to what a normal old Supra? Actually, I'm not going to put it that way.
It's going to vary.
I'll say it was later restored to its original condition before crossing the block at Barrett-Jackson, where... Nope, sorry, that's not what I meant to say. According to the Haggerty Price Guide, a similar car in perfect condition without the Hollywood connection would be worth... Any guesses?
Now, it's a turbo,
Yeah.
which makes a difference. They've gone up a lot in the last few years, and I would say somewhere between 75 and 90.
Okay, Brian, I guess.
I was going to go way lower, 40, 45.
Well, both of you think this is a bargain that it ain't. $134,000.
Are they that much now?
That
that's
would
a
be what-
Haggerty thing?
Yeah,
That's
Haggerty
like
Price
that's
Guide.
an A condition car. The average is probably lower, but that's like an A condition. Wow. But yeah, they've gone up. Japanese cars have gone up. So everyone was prejudiced against Japan. They didn't like Japanese cars. You couldn't get a Japanese car into the Rolex Historics.
So you're talking about collectibles and like higher end stuff because the biggest selling cars in the world, but that's
Oh yeah, listen, you guys can drive your fucking beige Camrys to fucking die.
I've actually never driven one.
But no, in the car world, there was no collectibility per se for Japanese cars.
That's when you scooped up all the Nissans.
Yeah, they were frowned upon.
Huh.
They wanted they liked Italian cars and
European,
German cars and even American muscle and stuff like that. But in the last few years, the Japanese market has caught on, and the Supras have gone kind of nuts.
I know we're not talking, or I know this isn't referring to muscle cars and that kind of thing, but you guys do remember the George Wendt, Michael Keaton vehicle, Gung Ho, yes?
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Yeah.
this was about, right? When Japanese cars were considered like shitty cars.
Mm-hmm.
They got taken over by a Japanese conglomerate.
That's
They
right.
took over and ran the show.
Mm-hmm.
What year must that have been? I think we saw it in the theater, but I was
83.
like very young.
I'm going to say later, 88.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe later.
We must
yeah.
know.
Gung Ho.
Gung Ho.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg has signed a multi-year deal to make movies for Netflix. His Amblin Partners production company
86, right in the middle.
will churn out several films a year with no restrictions regarding budget or genre or anything else, according to the Hollywood Reporter. This seems particularly significant to many in the industry since this is one of the biggest names in kind of the old guard of Hollywood, working with a company that's now redefining the way people watch movies. Some people are sort of clutching their pearls and offended by it.
Did you say Netflix?
Yeah.
Well,
Amblin.
Scorsese did The Irishman.
Is that? Do you think that's what made it okay?
Maybe give a little bit of cred for some of the higher end, directors.
Yeah. Remember this little mailbox movie company, the little company that could.
Yeah. It's so I was thinking about Gung Ho, which is like,
yes,
there was a time in this nation's history where if you made a below average movie, everyone was still compelled to go out and watch it because the thrill was whatever movie comes to town, you must watch it. And that was your choice. You did not have options.
That's
you were
right.
just like, what's playing at the El Portal or the Lorena Theater? It's like, oh, this movie.
86 predates like multiplexes for the most part.
For the most part. And the movie would sit in the theater for 4 months. So, like, you want to get some air conditioning? Yeah. Well, go see Gung Ho.
Again?
Yeah. That was it.
Yeah.
Seeing movies for second and third times in the theater.
Yeah. That was normal.
Yeah. Nowadays, that's reserved for like the awesome movie. They're like, I got to go see that again.
Right.
It's really rare.
Was this before or after Mr. Mom?
After. Mr. Mom was like 83, 84, right?
Yeah, it seems like it was after it, but who knows?
All right. Well, I don't think we got into this, so definitely want to bring it up. The Supreme Court has unanimously decided with the NCAA athletes, ruling they can be compensated by colleges for playing sports with education-related benefits. Now, let's talk about what compensation means, and we'll get there. But the decision is a big defeat for the NCAA, which had been trying to limit benefits for student athletes in an effort to maintain their amateur status. While the decision doesn't allow for direct cash payments to athletes, it will allow for things like computers, graduate scholarships, internships. Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote, "Nowhere else in America can businesses get away with agreeing not to pay their workers a fair market rate on the theory that their product is defined by not paying their workers a fair market rate."
I was talking to Mark Argos about this a lot. Yeah, of course, the NCAA is fighting against this because they make billions and they don't have to pay.
They don't want to cut them in.
They have a whole bunch of rules about why they can't pay anybody. But I don't know. I think Gary brought it up, which is like, I don't know, Tim Tebow's jersey selling 1 million units. What other world does Tim Tebow not get a penny?
That's insane.
From jersey sales.
Yeah, well, remember the one that kicked us all off was the O'Bannon's lawsuit against the video game. They're like on the cover of the likenesses.
Oh, yeah,
it's
right.
Like, yeah, you're using these guys like you're selling video games based on these being able to play as this player. How can they not get paid for that?
And then, of course, what it's going to do is you're going to have situations like Reggie Bush. You heard of him?
Yeah.
Got to get back to Heisman.
The Southern California guy?
I think so. I don't know if he hails from here or he just transferred. But the point is, he's going to have to give back his Heisman because someone got him rims for his Caprice or something.
His parents live rent-free.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you take poor people and then you go, you got to work full-time at this job called football. And then they go, my dad's living in squalor. And you go, well, we can't rent him a townhouse because that would be against the rules. Well, of course, people are going to break the rules because they're desperate.
But if you're really, really good, we'll make money off your jersey and likeness. And,
right. Yeah.
Well, and it's like if you've ever been, Adam, you may have, boy, when I moved here, I sure did. You get the Backstage West every week. You start looking for ways to audition and submit yourself. And everything says, paid in experience, paid in, everything like that. Like the cachet is that you get to be involved with this production.
Yeah, if you really think about it, in a world where we never stop talking about like slavery and this is off the backs of and appropriate, most of these people are black people that we've probably some of the biggest names and what would be the highest earners and the superstars and the top, 10 draft picks to the NFL, these 7 or 8 of them are black. Like this is an exploitation of the poor black man. And by the way, the poorest of the black man, this is huge exploitation.
How has that not come up more?
I don't know. It's a weird thing because we do that exploitation of the colored man, black man thing in almost every arena these days. But somehow when it comes to sports, which is, look at the defensive side of the ball for Florida State. You're going to see a lot of brothers on that side.
I have a theory why that doesn't get brought up more. Maybe because people running organizations that would generally speak out, not so much a fan of jocks.
They're too busy going after Lin Manuel Miranda.
That's right.
That's right.
It can also be directly correlated to the what's happening on college campuses. That this is the NCAA. This is the National Collegiate Athletic Association.
Mm-hmm.
Colleges are never going to call themselves out for exploiting minorities.
Yeah, and it's also amongst the richest corporations in the world are colleges.
Yes.
Huge endowments and stuff. Like it's insane that the colleges get all the money and the athletic department gets all the money and the stores, the bookstores that sell all the jerseys. Yeah, it's a fucking scam. And good.
College and religion.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring it home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news. That's me.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Let me tell you about LifeLock. Recent survey. 330 million people became victims of cybercrime. Another 55 million had their identity stolen. They spent almost 2.7 billion hours trying to resolve their issues. It's important to understand how cybercrime and identity theft are affecting our lives. Every day, we put our info at risk on the internet. In an instant, cyber criminals could harm your finances and your credit. Good thing there's LifeLock. LifeLock helps detect a wide range of identity threats like your social security number for sale on the dark web. You have access to a dedicated restoration specialist. If you become a victim, protect yourself with LifeLock, right, Dawson?
No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but you can keep what's yours with LifeLock by Norton. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year by using promo code ADAM. Call 1-800-LifeLock or head to lifelock.com and use promo code ADAM for 25% off.
All right, Anchorage, Alaska. Coots coming up next Saturday, July 3rd, doing a live pod there and stand-up there as well. Going to North Carolina and Minneapolis and Royal Oak, Missouri, and or Michigan, I should say, and Kansas City, Missouri. So go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows. You can check out our Chassis channel on PlutoTV, channel 687. A lot of free content there. Sean and Danny, the Underworld Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podcast One. Until next time, Adam Carolla for Gina Grad and Sean Williams and Danny Gold and Bald Bryan. Say it. Mahalo.
I got a free Slinky.